get 3 years back, right? We're trying to collapse that 2012 timeline into now. So if you're trying to take 3 years of transformation and put that into today, you have to be open to things being different quickly and largely.
I was just putting a piece in here, but I think it's too big.
No, go ahead. It'll fit.
So as you look for personal transformation of the magnitude you're desiring, that you've expressed that you desire. Maybe you've changed your mind, but at the point where now you've expressed that you want this, as you're experiencing that magnitude of desire for change, it requires that you open to transformation in an equally large fashion. Now, we don't mean that your life is radically different, but we mean that your willingness to experience a transformed state must become radically different. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. And what we've seen happen out of the habit of being human and the tendency to just go with the flow and not to challenge the need for change, because all the things we talked about, the mind wanting that safety and fear of getting dead and all that stuff, is that we say, let's talk about your superhero power, and you go a little bit, and this one does it too, so we know you're in good company. But we can't let you get too far away from it. Now, we could relanguage it out of superhero power if we thought that was giving you guys trouble, but we sense that you guys get what we mean by the superhero power, and we don't have to back out of, trying to have a little bit of fun with it, right? You guys all get that really what we're talking about is your life changing in order to have change. And instead of being at the outcome, which is my life is different, we're bringing the outcome into today by opening to something being different now. Your tendency is to say, I'll do what I do, and then something will be different. And our energetic is saying, let's make it different now so that you have that partnership as you move forward. Because you want to collapse that timeline. John, you opened the door to that with all those questions that one week. So,
my bad.
Well, it sped things up. And now we're trying to, how it worked is the door opened, you all went, neato, light, let's go there. And then it's like, but what do we do with all this light? Well, what you do with all this light is you embrace it. In order to embrace that much light, otherwise known as transformation, you have to let change in. Yes, go ahead, Sasha.
I think I would like to relanguage it because it's almost like a fanciful, unattainable thing that when you say superhero, that's another thing I'll never get to kind of thing, versus if I could relanguage it, it would be like living courageously rather than living in fear. Because if I'm confronting my core emotion, I'm having to live courageously and go against my tendency to avert and duck and cover and go to the safety zone and go out of my comfort zone, take the risk. And it's easier because I'm getting older, if not now then when. But still, it takes a courageous...
Sure. And one thing that you can say about superheroes is that they're courageous, right? The reason we use the superhero power language is because in your culture, superheroes have something everybody else doesn't. It's an unusual ability. They're typically out for the good of all. They're typically looking at the bigger picture. So there was sort of an energetic there. But another way to say it is, I'm open to experiencing all the crayons in the box right now. That's another way of languaging it. I'm open to my soul showing me every crayon I have access to for this moment. And what tends to happen is that the crayons you go to are your habits. And then you start to be able to embrace optional crayons that allow you new ways of acting, new ways of being, like you just shared you're experiencing. What we're trying to get across to you is that some of those crayons are going to be things that no one you know can do. No one you know has experienced. only things that have been fanciful or have felt impossible or have felt like superhero powers, literally. You know, something out of the comic books. So what we're trying to do is show you that there are more crayons in the box, that you have access to more crayons in the box than you're aware you currently have access to, and that you're growing to be able to embrace crayons that feel impossible or have not been experienced on the planet commonly or ever. So that's the other way of saying it, is let me see all the crayons. And the superhero power, the way when we focused on one, it was a little bit to get you to be aware that these aren't just the answers to all your problems. They are a process in and of themselves. Using those new crayons brings up more to be processed. They're not just free passes to skip over what you're here to learn. They're here to assist you in what you came here to learn and grow from. And part of what at least one person on the internet was saying is, you know, it's no fun to think about the superhero powers if I have to think about what it's teaching me. Yeah, we get that. But the reality is the superhero power is your companion on the journey, not your skipping the journey. You're here for the journey. You're not here to skip it. You're not here to skip it because you go to a class or a teacher or a talk or you listen to a tape. You're here to take the things that you accumulate and use them to companion you well on the journey so that the journey becomes a transformed experience. So maybe the crayons is a better, does that one feel a little more accessible to you, Sasha?
It's not the accessible as much as just when you put it in the area of fantasy, it would have to start with telekinesis or whatever to rolling the pencil across the table, not moving Mohammed's mountain. Mm-hmm. So when you talk about moving a mountain, that you kind of just brush it off. Yeah. Without even starting to try. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's okay to color with the crayon, just trying to stay inside the lines instead of, you know, trying to recreate the Sistine Chapel. Absolutely. Absolutely. And we recognize that this is a big deal. This isn't something that maybe is going to be able to be understood or grokked in the first 5 minutes we talk about it. Because what you're doing, again, is you're collapsing 3 years. So just look at it that way. You know, if you wanted to run a marathon or you wanted to know sign language or you wanted to do anything that typically takes time, you have time to do it. But you guys are messing around with how you experience time here. That's part of what's going on, is you're also creating a new way of experiencing time. So when you go and you put 3 years worth of experience into a very short period of time, you have to shift the way you interact with it. And that's really what we're trying to get across, is helping you shift the way you interact with the condensed time stream in order to companion with the transformation and be ahead of the curve to emanate choice to other people. Now, of course, because Veronica reads sci-fi all the time, her question is, are we driving the transformation then, or would it have happened anyway? Time travel crap. We don't care what the answer to that question is. We're going to take the we exist outside of time pass on that question and let her experience living outside of time on that too. Because really it doesn't matter. The reality is you have an opportunity and you can seize it or not. It's up to you, free will, of course. And one of the ways to experience it is to really open up to things transforming quickly in your life. And to open up to things transforming quickly, you have to manage fear, which coincidentally is why we did such a long period of time on fear, because what comes up when you want to change? Fear of change. See how it all, you know, there was a master plan, and it's like coming together, and, you know, then you get to see all the people. Anyway, so, there's that. Yes, John?